The Chicago wind sliced through Elliot's jacket as he stood on the rooftop bar. The city's pulse thrumming below like a heartbeat he couldn't ignore. He wasn't supposed to be here. Not in this glittering world of wealth and power. But something fate, desperation, or just a reckless whim had pulled him into the orbit of Nathan Caldwell, the man whose name alone could silence a room. By the end of this night, Elliot would know secrets that could unravel an empire, and a love that would break his heart. Elliot adjusted his sketchbook under his arm, feeling out of place among the clinking glasses and tailored suits. He was 28, a struggling artist who poured his soul into charcoal drawings that barely paid his rent. Tonight, he'd come to this upscale bar in the Loop to meet a gallery owner who'd promised a shot at an exhibition. But the owner had flaked, leaving Elliot with a half-empty glass of cheap whiskey and a gnawing sense of failure. Then he saw him. Nathan Caldwell, 29, CEO of Caldwell Financial, the youngest ever to helm the banking giant. His presence commanded the room-sharp jawline, piercing blue eyes, and a suit that screamed money. Whispers followed him, ruthless, untouchable, a man who'd clawed his way to the top by outsmarting everyone. Yet, as Nathan's gaze landed on Elliot, something flickered in those cold eyes: curiosity, maybe even recognition. "You look like you don't belong here," Nathan said, sliding onto the bar stool beside Elliot. His voice was smooth, like velvet wrapped around steel. "What's your story?" Elliot's heart stuttered. He wasn't used to being noticed, let alone by someone like Nathan. "Just an artist who got stood up," he replied, trying to sound casual. "You?" Nathan's lips twitched. Not quite a smile. Just a guy looking for something real in a city full of fakes. He leaned closer, his colon of sandalwood and ambition filling the space between them. "What do you draw?" Elliot hesitated, then flipped open his sketchbook. The pages were raw, filled with sketches of Chicago's underbelly: homeless men huddled under bridges, kids playing in cracked alleys, lovers stealing kisses in the rain. Nathan's eyes lingered on each drawing, his expression unreadable. "These are honest," Nathan said finally, his voice softer. "You see things most people ignore." Elliot shrugged, but his chest warmed. "I see what's real. What about you? What do you see?" Nathan's gaze locked onto his, intense and unguarded for a fleeting moment. "Right now? You." The air thickened. Elliot's pulse raced, his mind screaming that this was dangerous. That men like Nathan didn't flirt with guys like him. But Nathan's hand brushed his on the bar, a deliberate touch that sent sparks up Elliot's spine. They talked about art, ambition, the weight of expectations. Nathan's polished exterior cracked slightly, revealing glimpses of a man trapped by his own success, haunted by choices he couldn't undo. Hours passed like minutes. The bar emptied, but they stayed, lost in each other. Nathan's laugh, rare and unguarded, made Elliot feel like he'd won something precious. When Nathan suggested they leave for somewhere quieter, Elliot didn't hesitate. He followed Nathan to his penthouse, a sleek fortress of glass and steel overlooking Lake Michigan. Inside, the opulence was staggering: marble floors, modern art worth millions, a view that made Elliot's tiny apartment feel like a closet. But it was Nathan's vulnerability that disarmed him. As they stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, Nathan's hand found Elliot's, his touch tentative, like he was afraid of breaking something fragile. "I don't do this," Nathan murmured, his voice raw. "I don't let people in." "Then why me?" Elliot asked, his heart pounding. Nathan's eyes searched his, as if grappling with the answer. "Because you're not like them. You're real." Their lips met, urgent and hungry, a collision of need and fear. The night blurred into a tangle of whispered confessions and stolen touches. Nathan's walls crumbled, and Elliot glimpsed the man beneath the sea of one who'd lost his first love to his ambition, who carried secrets that could destroy his empire. Elliot, too, shared his fears, his struggle to belong, his longing for a life that mattered. As dawn crept through the windows, they lay tangled in sheets, the city waking below. Elliot felt alive, seen, but a shadow lingered. Nathan's phone buzzed incessantly, urgent messages from a world that never slept. "I have to go," Nathan said, his voice heavy with regret. "But it's not over." Elliot wanted to believe him, but as Nathan dressed, his CEO mask slipping back into place, doubt crept in. What was this night to a man like Nathan? A fleeting escape? A mistake? As Elliot left the penthouse, he carried more than memories, carried Nathan's secrets, whispered in the dark, and a heart that wasn't entirely his anymore. Elliot stepped into the crisp Chicago morning. The city's hum a stark contrast to the quiet intensity of Nathan's penthouse. His breath caught as he replayed the night, the way Nathan's hands had traced his skin, the confessions that had spilled like wine. But the weight of Nathan's secrets pressed heavier, a deal with shady investors, a hidden account funneling millions, a past betrayal that had cost someone their life. Back in his cramped Wicker Park apartment, Elliot tried to sketch, but his hands trembled. His phone buzzed a text from an unknown number: "Meet me tonight, 8 p.m. The Art Institute." His heart leapt, then sank. Was this a summons to continue what they'd started, or a warning to stay silent? Elliot spent the day restless, his mind torn between longing and fear. Nathan wasn't just a man. He was a storm, and Elliot was already caught in its pull. By evening, he stood outside the Art Institute, the lions guarding the entrance casting long shadows. Nathan arrived, his presence magnetic even in a crowd. He wore a dark coat, his face half hidden, but his eyes found Elliot's with an intensity that made the world fade. "You came," Nathan said, his voice low, almost relieved. "You didn't give me much choice," Elliot replied, trying to mask his nerves. "What's this about?" Nathan led him inside, past masterpieces and hushed galleries, to a secluded corner where a single painting hung, a stormy seascape, chaotic yet beautiful. "This reminds me of you," Nathan said, raw, unafraid, full of things I can't quite grasp. Elliot's cheeks warmed, but he pressed. "You didn't bring me here to talk about art. What's going on, Nathan?" Nathan's jaw tightened. "There are things you don't know. Things I shouldn't have told you." He stepped closer, his voice dropping. "But I can't stop thinking about you. Last night, it changed something." Elliot's heart raced, but doubt gnawed at him. "You're not exactly an open book. How do I know this isn't just a game to you?" Nathan's hand grazed Elliot's arm, a spark in the dim light. "Because I'm risking everything by being here. If anyone saw us." The unspoken hung heavy. Nathan's world was one of power plays and secrets. We're being seen with a man like Elliot, openly queer, unpolished, cowled, unravel his carefully built empire. Yet here he was, vulnerable in a way that made Elliot's chest ache. They wandered the galleries, their conversation weaving between art and truth. Nathan spoke of his pasta conservative family who'd disowned him when he came out as bisexual in college. A first love who'd left when Nathan chose ambition over honesty. Elliot shared his own scars growing up in a small town where being gay meant being invisible, moving to Chicago to chase a dream that kept slipping away. As they stood before a sculpture of two entwined figures, Nathan's hand found Elliot's, hidden in the shadows. "I don't know how to do this," Nathan admitted, "but I want to try. With you." Elliot wanted to believe him, but Nathan's phone buzzed again, a reminder of the world waiting to reclaim him. They left the museum separately, Nathan's parting words lingering. "I'll find you tomorrow." But as Elliot walked home, a black SUV trailed him, its windows dark. Fear prickled his skin. Had Nathan's secrets already marked him? The next day, Elliot's world tilted. A stranger approached him at his coffee shop job, slipping him an envelope with photos Nathan with a man in a dark alley, handing over a briefcase. A note read, "Stay away from him, or these go public." Elliot's stomach churned. Was Nathan playing him? Or was he as trapped as Elliot felt? He texted Nathan, demanding answers. The reply came hours later. "Meet me at my office. Midnight. Trust me." Against his better judgment, Elliot went, slipping past security into Caldwell Financial's gleaming tower. Nathan was waiting, his face pale, his suit rumpled. "You're in danger," he said, locking the door. "And it's because of me." Nathan's office was a fortress of glass and steel, but his eyes were wild, unguarded. "I didn't mean to drag you into this," he said, pacing. "Those photos theory from a deal I made years ago. A mistake I can't undo." Elliot clutched the envelope, his voice sharp. "A mistake? Nathan, someone's threatening me. What the hell is going on?" Nathan stopped, his hands gripping the edge of his desk. "I was young, desperate to prove myself. I got involved with people I shouldn't have, investors with ties to organized crime. They helped me build this company, but now they're tightening the leash." Elliot's mind reeled. The man he'd held last night, who'd kissed him like he was the only thing that mattered, was tangled in a web of danger. "Why tell me this? Why not just let me go?" Nathan's gaze softened. "Raw. Because I can't. You're the first person in years who makes me feel human." The confession hit Elliot like a tidal wave. He wanted to run, to protect himself, but Nathan's vulnerability anchored him. They sat, and Nathan spilled everything: the hidden accounts, the blackmail, the fear that his empire was built on lies. Elliot listened, torn between fear and a fierce need to protect this man who'd bared his soul. "I'll help you," Elliot said finally, his voice steady despite the chaos in his chest. "But no more secrets." Nathan nodded, relief flickering in his eyes. They devised a plan. Elliot would use his art connections to discreetly gather intel on the investors, while Nathan worked to untangle his company from their grip. It was risky, but for the first time, they felt like partners. Days blurred into stolen moments, late-night meetings in Nathan's penthouse, whispered plans over coffee in Elliot's apartment. Their bond deepened, each touch electric, each glance heavy with unspoken promises. But danger loomed. The SUV appeared again, this time outside Elliot's studio. A brick shattered his window, a note tied to it, "Back off, or you're next." Elliot's fear turned to resolve. He dug deeper, using his network of artists and activists to uncover dirt on Nathan's investors. He found a leaded, disgraced accountant who knew the investors' secrets. They met in a dingy bar, the accountant nervous, his eyes darting. "They'll kill to protect their money," he warned, handing Elliot a USB drive with encrypted files. Elliot brought the drive to Nathan, who decrypted it in his office. The files revealed a money laundering scheme tied to Caldwell Financial, with Nathan's signature on documents he swore he'd never seen. "They forged it," he said, his voice shaking with rage. "They're setting me up." The realization hit them both. This wasn't just about money. Someone wanted Nathan destroyed and Elliot with him. They needed to act fast. But trust was fraying. Could Elliot believe Nathan? Or was he still hiding something? As they pored over the files, a knock at the door froze them. Nathan's assistant, Claire, stood there, her face pale. "Sir, the board knows. They're calling an emergency meeting. Now. The boardroom was a battlefield. All polished wood and predatory stares. Nathan stood at the head, his face a mask of control. But Elliot saw the tension in his clenched fists. The board members, vultures in suits, demanded answers about the leaked documents. Nathan deflected, his voice steady. But the accusation hung heavy: fraud, betrayal, ruin. Elliot watched from the shadows, invited by Nathan to stay hidden behind a one-way glass. His heart pounded as he saw the man he loved fight for his life's work. But doubt crept in. Had Nathan been honest about everything? The forged documents pointed to someone close, someone with access. Claire's nervous glances didn't help. Was she loyal, or a snake in the grass? After the meeting, Nathan pulled Elliot into a private office, his composure cracking. "They're circling," he said, running a hand through his hair. "If I don't fix this, I lose everything." Elliot gripped his hand, grounding him. "We'll fix it. Together." But the words felt fragile against the storm brewing outside. They dove back into the USB's files, uncovering a trail leading to a man named Victor Kane, a shadowy investor with a reputation for ruthlessness. Kane had been Nathan's mentor early on, the one who'd introduced him to the criminal underbelly. Now, he was the one pulling the strings. "He wants control," Nathan said, his voice bitter. "And he'll destroy anyone in his way." Elliot's mind raced. They needed leverage, something to turn the tables. He suggested reaching out to a hacker friend, Mia, who owed him a favor. Mia, a fiercely loyal lesbian in her early 30s, worked from a cluttered apartment in Pilsen, her walls covered in protest posters. She cracked the USB's deeper layers, revealing Kane's network, a web of corruption stretching across Chicago's elite. But the deeper they dug, the more dangerous it became. Elliot's apartment was ransacked, his sketches torn to shreds. Nathan's car was tailed, forcing him to switch vehicles. Their stolen moments became desperate, each kiss tasting of fear and defiance. "I won't let them hurt you," Nathan vowed, his arms around Elliot in the dim light of a safe house. Elliot wanted to believe him, but the weight of their choices pressed down. He wasn't just fighting for Nathan, was fighting for himself, for the life he'd always wanted. Mia's intel led them to a warehouse meeting where Kane would be, a chance to confront him. They planned carefully, knowing one wrong move could end them both. The night of the meeting, Chicago was cloaked in fog. Elliot and Nathan slipped into the warehouse, hearts pounding. Kane was there, flanked by armed men, his smile cold as ice. "You should have stayed out of this, Nathan," he said, his eyes flicking to Elliot. "And you're just collateral damage." The warehouse smelled of oil and betrayal. Nathan stepped forward, his voice steady despite the guns trained on them. "This ends now, Victor. I'm done being your puppet." Kane laughed, a sound that chilled Elliot's blood. "You think you can walk away? You built this empire on my money, my rules." He gestured to Elliot. "And you brought him into it. Sloppy, Nathan." Elliot's fists clenched, but Nathan's hand on his arm kept him grounded. "He's not part of this," Nathan said. "Let him go, and we'll talk." Kane's eyes gleamed with malice. "Oh, we'll talk. But first, he pays for sticking his nose where it doesn't belong." Before Elliot could react, Nathan lunged, tackling one of Kane's men. Chaos erupted: shouts, gunfire, the screech of metal. Elliot dove behind a crate, his heart hammering. Nathan fought with a ferocity Elliot hadn't seen, but they were outnumbered. In the chaos, Elliot grabbed a flash drive from Kane's desk, praying it held something useful. They barely escaped, sprinting through Chicago's alleys, the city's pulse matching their own. Back at the safe house, Nathan's hands shook as he bandaged a cut on Elliot's arm. "I'm sorry," he whispered, his voice breaking. "I never wanted this for you." Elliot cupped his face, their foreheads touching. "I chose this. I chose you." The flash drive was a gold mine proof of Kane's crimes. Enough to bury him. But it came at a cost. Mia warned that Kane's network was closing in, and the board was moving to oust Nathan. They had one shot: go public with the evidence, risking everything, or use it to negotiate with Kane, hoping he'd back off. Nathan wanted to fight, to expose Kane and reclaim his life. Elliot, though, saw the toll it was taking: the sleepless nights, the haunted look in Nathan's eyes. "You don't have to do this alone," Elliot said. "We can walk away. Start over." Nathan's laugh was bitter. "Walk away? This is all I am, Elliot. Without this company, I'm nothing." The words stung, but Elliot saw the truth beneath them: Nathan's fear of losing himself, of losing them. They spent the night planning, their love a quiet anchor in the storm. By morning, they decided to leak the evidence anonymously, letting the feds take Kane down. But as they prepared, Claire called, her voice frantic. "Nathan, they know. They're coming for you." The safe house wasn't safe anymore. Nathan and Elliot fled to a motel on the city's edge, the neon sign flickering like their hope. The flash drive burned a hole in Elliot's pocket, its contents their only weapon. But trust was fraying. Claire's warning felt too convenient, her loyalty questionable. "We can't stay here," Nathan said, checking the windows. "If Kane's men find us, it's over." Elliot nodded, his mind racing. "We leak the drive to the press. Let the world see what Kane's done." Nathan hesitated, his eyes haunted. "If we do this, there's no going back. My company, my life, it's gone." Elliot took his hand, steady despite his fear. "You'll still have me." The words hung between them, a promise in the chaos. They contacted Mia, who connected them with a journalist, Sarah, known for exposing corruption. Sarah met them in a crowded diner, her eyes sharp but kind. "This is big," she said, scanning the drive's contents. "But you're painting a target on your backs." They knew the risk. Sarah published the story that night, a bombshell that rocked Chicago. Kane's empire crumbled as the feds raided his properties. But Nathan's company was collateral damage. The board ousted him, the media branding him a villain despite the truth. Nathan and Elliot hid in Mia's apartment, watching the city burn with their story. Nathan was quieter now, the weight of his lost empire crushing him. Elliot tried to reach him, but Nathan's walls were back, higher than ever. "I dragged you into this," Nathan said one night, his voice hollow. "You'd be better off without me." Elliot's heart broke. "Don't you dare say that. We're in this together." But the cracks were showing. Kane's men were still out there, and a late-night call from Sarah confirmed their worst fears. Kane had vanished, leaving a trail of threats. "He knows you're behind this," Sarah warned. "And he's not done." Elliot and Nathan planned their next move, but tension simmered. Nathan's guilt clashed with Elliot's determination, their love tested by the weight of their choices. When a car bomb exploded outside Mia's building, narrowly missing them, Elliot knew they couldn't run forever. They had to face Kane, or they'd never be free. Chicago's winter bit at their skin as they tracked Kane to an abandoned factory on the south side. The city felt like a cage, every shadow a threat. Elliot clutched the knife Nathan had given him, a last resort. Nathan's face was grim, his gun hidden beneath his coat. "Stay close," he whispered. "No heroics." The factory was a maze of rust, and decay. The air thick with dust. Cain waited in the heart of it, his smirk unchanged despite his fall. "You think you've won?" he taunted, his men circling. "You're nothing without me, Nathan." Elliot's pulse thundered, but he stepped forward, defiant. "He's more than you'll ever be." Cain's laugh was cold, but his eyes betrayed fear. The confrontation was brutal, words turned to blows, and Nathan fought like a man possessed. Elliot held his own, his artist's hand steady as he disarmed one of Cain's men. In the chaos, Nathan tackled Cain, pinning him down. "It's over," Nathan growled. "You're done." But Cain's final card was cruel. "You think this ends with me?" he spat. "You're bored. Your assistant, they were all in on it. You're alone, Nathan." The words hit harder than any punch. Nathan faltered, and Cain slipped free, vanishing into the night. They escaped, battered but alive, the truth sinking in. Nathan's empire wasn't just taken, it was betrayed from within. Back at the motel, Nathan broke, his sobs raw and unguarded. Elliot held him, their love the only solid thing left. "We can start over," Elliot whispered. "Anywhere. Just us." Nathan nodded, but his eyes were distant. The next morning, he was gone, leaving a note. "I need to fix this. I love you. Wait for me." Elliot's heart shattered, but he clung to hope. Nathan wasn't running from him, was running toward redemption. Months passed, each day a battle to keep faith. Elliot rebuilt his life, his art gaining traction in Chicago's underground scene. His sketches now told their story: love, loss, defiance. But Nathan's absence was a wound that wouldn't heal. He left no trace, only rumors of a man hunting the truth across the city. Elliot refused to give up. He worked with Sarah, piecing together the betrayal. Claire, it turned out, had been Cain's mole, feeding him secrets for years. The board was complicit, profiting from the same corruption they'd pinned on Nathan. Sarah's exposés brought them down, one by one, but Nathan remained a ghost. One spring evening, as Elliot hung his latest piece in a gallery, a familiar figure stepped from the shadows. Nathan, thinner, wearier, but alive. His eyes held the same fire that had drawn Elliot in that first night. "I had to finish it," Nathan said, his voice rough. "Cain's gone. For good." Elliot's heart surged, but he held back. "You left me." Nathan stepped closer, his hands trembling. "I had to protect you. And myself. I needed to be someone you could trust again." They stood in the gallery, surrounded by Elliot's art, their story in charcoal and ink. Nathan's hand found Elliot's, and this time, there were no secrets between them. "I love you," Nathan said, the words a vow. "And I'm not running anymore." They left Chicago, starting fresh in a small coastal town. Nathan traded his suits for sweaters, helping Elliot open a studio. Their love grew quiet but strong, built on trust forged in fire. The world moved on, but their story, born in one reckless night, became a legacy of courage and redemption, a testament to the power of loving fiercely, against all odds.